So this video is going to show you how to do the problems from 9 to 14 from lesson 4.3. So we're just going to start going through them here. Okay. So we're solving these by using substitution. So I need to solve one of them for y. Honestly, it does not matter which one. I'm going to choose to solve this second one for y, so I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So you've got y equals x squared minus 7. I'm going to now take that one, and I'm going to substitute it into the other equation for y. So I've got 6x plus something equals negative 16. And then I plug in the x squared minus, minus 7. There really isn't any need to have the parentheses. I could rearrange the order a little bit. We'd be more comfortable with the order as x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals negative 16. And then I need to go ahead and move this 16 over by adding it. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. And then we are solving a quadratic, and we know that the first thing we do when we solve a quadratic is we try a magic x. So I need two numbers that multiply to 9 and add to 6, and they would be 3 and 3. There's no leading coefficient, so I just get to do x plus 3 times x plus 3 equals 0. And we know that we can use zero product property here, so we to split them up. So x plus 3 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract the 3 from both sides. We get negative 3 on both of them. So really, there really is only one solution to this one. Sorry, it flipped. Oh, wrong way. Flipped a whole bunch. So really, there's only one solution to this. It's negative 3. All right, we're going to solve again. Again, I need to get one of the variables solved for. It doesn't matter which one. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and solve for x in the second equation by subtracting the 2y from both sides. So you've got x equals negative 2y plus 6. I'm going to take this and I'm going to substitute it in for the x in the other equation. So we've got y minus 5 equals something in parentheses minus 2 squared. So let's plug into those parentheses. I'm plugging in the negative 2y plus 6. I really don't need the parentheses. Before I do my squaring, I'm going to combine these together. So we've got negative 2y plus 4 squared. Remember, the squared means you write it twice. So it's like saying negative 2y plus 4 again. And we're going to FOIL that out. And I'm kind of doing some scratch work right there. So negative 2y times negative 2y is 4y squared. Negative 2y times 4 is negative 8y. And we've learned in class that we'd have 2 of those. So my middle becomes negative 16y. And 4 times 4 is 16. Then we know we've got a quadratic because it's squared. So I need to get the left side equal to 0. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and move the y over by subtracting. So we keep the 4y squared. 16y minus y is 15y. Then we're going to add the 5. So we end up with 21 equals 0. The next thing that we would want to try to do is try to do a magic x. Okay, so 21 times 4. So we'd have in our magic x, we would have an 84 and 15. So we need two numbers that multiply to 84 and add to 15. And by magic of the teacher's addition, I know when nothing works. So after that, we try the quadratic formula. So the quadratic, and you could have done the quadratic from the begin with. We don't have to use the magic x. So I'm going to say y equals, because that's what we're solving for. You know what? I forgot to solve for we'll go back to number 9. I forgot to solve for something in number 9. Forgot to solve for the other value. All right. We're going to do y equals the b value, which is negative. Did I make a mistake in this? Oh, I did right here. Negative and a negative should have been a negative 17. Right there. So negative 17 plus or minus square root of negative 17 squared minus 4 times the 4 for the a times the 21 all over 2 times the 4. Okay, the double negative is going to go positive. 17 squared times 17 is 289. And then the 16 times 21, we get negative 126. Not sure that's right. 16 times 21, 336. I hit the wrong button. Let me try that one more time, make sure I've got it. Yep, all over 8. And then, oops, 336 minus 289. Okay, so we get 17 plus or minus the square root of negative 47 over 8. Well, we know that that negative is going to produce an I, which means we wouldn't have a real solution to this, so I can't finish this one. So this one is no real solutions is the answer. I need to go back to number 9, okay? I only solve for x. We got to solve for y too, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plug back into this one that's solved for. So y equals negative 3 squared minus 7. The negative 3 squared is 9 minus 7, which is 2. So my final answer on this one would be negative 3, 2. Okay, let's look at number 11. Number 11, I'm going to use substitution again. I'm going to, it doesn't really matter which one I solve for. I'm going to go ahead and choose to solve for the x, I think. Let's see what they did. They solve for y. So let's try, I guess we'll try y. They have, yeah, okay. So we're going to go ahead and move that x over to the other side by subtracting. And then I'm going to divide by the negative. So, and I could have solved for x. I just chose to do y. I'm now going to take this and I'm going to substitute it in here, probably because that side's more complicated. So we're going to have something squared minus 26 equals negative x squared. So when I substitute in, I've got this x minus 6. And remember, squared means write it twice. So I'm going to really write it twice. We're going to FOIL this piece and this piece. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 6 is negative 6x. And I have 2 of those, so I get negative 12x in the middle. And then negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. Minus 26 equals negative x squared. All right, we do need to do some combining like terms and get it equal to 0 since it is a quadratic. So I would probably start by adding this x squared to the other side. And x squared plus x squared is 2x squared minus 12x. 36 minus 26 is 10 equals 0. All right, I'm going to do something here that we haven't seen ourselves do before, but I see a 2 in all of those. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to divide that out, and that will allow me to have a leading coefficient of 1. So x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. Essentially, we took out a greatest common factor of 2. Now magic x is really nice. I need two numbers that multiply to 5 and add to negative 6. So we'd use negative 5 and negative 1. So we'd have x minus 5 times x minus 1 equals 0. And use zero product property to split them up. Set them both equal to 0. Add the 5. So we get 5. Add the 1. You get 1. Now that's not our final answer. This was a system, so we need to plug back in. I'd probably plug back into where this y equals. So I'm going to plug in the 5 first, which is going to get me negative 1. So one of my points is 5, negative 1. And then I'm going to plug in the 1, which is going to get me negative 5. So my other point is 1, negative 5. All right, on number 12, I am going to go ahead and solve for y in the second equation. So I'm going to take this 2x and I'm going to subtract it to the other side. So y equals negative 2x plus 1. I'm going to take that and I'm going to substitute it in there. So we've got parentheses minus 3 equals x squared minus 2x. And inside the parentheses, we're going to put what we solved for, the negative 2x plus 1. All right. We have 1 minus 3 is negative 2. We know it's a quadratic, so I have to get it equal to 0. Oops. Actually, I might not get it equal to 0 this time. Watch what happens on this one. So when I go to add the 2x to both sides, the 2x's cancel. So I end up with negative 2 equals x squared. I can just take a square root of both sides, but I've got a negative under there, so we end up with an I. So there is no real solution to this one. Okay, let's try this one here. The good news is they have already, although they went and did y. Okay, it's already solved for x, so I could just plug right into the, yeah, let's just do that. I'm not going to follow what the book does. I'm just going to plug right into there. So, because they've already done half the work for us. So y equals something squared plus 1. And we are going to plug into y minus 1 into there. So that means, remember, squared means write it twice, so I've got to FOIL that out. So y times y squared, y times negative y, and we have 2 of those, which gives me negative 2y in the middle. 1 times 1 is 1. We're going to go ahead and combine like terms, so I'm going to start by subtracting the y and getting it equal to 0, because it's quadratic. Negative 2y and negative y is negative 3y plus 2. We're going to try good old magic x. So two numbers that multiply to 2 and add to negative 3 would be negative 2 and negative 1. So we have y minus 2 times y minus 1. And then you're going to set them both equal to 0 because of the zero product property. So y equals 2 and y equals 1 when you add the 2 and add the 1. Now we're not done yet. We got to plug back in to get x. So I'm going to plug back into this one right here, which says I do 2 minus 1 equals x. And that means that x equals 1. So one of my points is 1, 2. Remember, this was the x and this one was the y. And then I'm going to plug in the 1. So 1 minus 1 equals, x, which is, doing this on the wrong side, equals 0. So my other point would be 0, 1. All right, the last one here on this assignment. So again, x is solved for, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to plug in. That's half my battle right there, is getting that plugged and getting that solved. So I might as well just use what they've given me, even though it looks like it's going to be kind of a big mess. So I have 2 places where I'm plugging into the parentheses. So we're plugging in the y minus 7 and the y minus 7. All right, and we're going to, squared means we write it twice. So I've got y squared, negative 7 times y is negative 7y, and I have that twice, so I get negative 14y. Negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. We're going to distribute that 2 in, so 2y minus 14 plus 7. I'm going to go ahead and simplify a line before I move this y. So y squared, negative 14 and positive 2 is negative 12y. Let's see. We've got 49, negative 14, and 7. So let me do some quick calculator work here. So 49, negative 14, and positive 7 equals 42 is what I'm getting. So plus 42. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract this y from both sides. We've got y, not y equals 0 equals, because it's a quadratic, we want it to equal 0 to solve it. Negative y squared minus 13y plus 42. So I need to we need to try my magic x first. So we need 2 numbers that multiply to 42 and add to negative 13. And you end up with negative 6 and negative 7 because they multiply to positive 42 and add to negative 13, which gives me y minus 6 times y minus 7. And you got y minus 6 equals 0 and y minus 7 equals 0. So y equals 6 and y equals 7. And then we got to take those and plug them back in to get x. We're going to plug into this guy here. So we've got, ooh boy, that got really, really big. I don't know how I get out of that. Hang on. Keep. And we're going to go back to, oops, here. Nope, that one there. It's in presentation mode. Okay, we're back. We're back. Okay, so last little bit here. Sorry about that. Uh-oh, now it's not writing. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So we're going to plug back into this guy here. I'm putting in 6 for the y first. So 6 minus 7 equals x. So that would be negative 1. So one of my points is negative 1, 6. Then my other point I'm plugging in is 7. So 7 minus 7 equals x. So x equals 0. So my other point is 0, 7.